Recovery is a holistic process. I think psychiatry has good intent, but a lot of mental health is so much stronger than the medications we have that really we're turning the volume down, but the voices are still there. And these are individuals with mental health challenges who are assisting others with mental health challenges. My name is Jim Lemon, and I am hired to coordinate a network of mental health peers.
The peer specialist was a new position, a new concept. They were convinced that people who had suffered from mental illness and had an upswing could provide services to those who were still suffering.
This hanger, this is my life. This is what my life looked like back then. Scared, suicidal, depressed, didn't know what was wrong with me. Thought I was the only one like this. Racing thoughts, couldn't sleep, just totally turmoil. I suffer from bipolar and generalized anxiety, and I also have panic attacks. My life has not always been great, but living with this problem was very scary when I found out that actually what it was. Driving, with having an episode was the totally scary thing in my life. Driving, going back and forth to work, traveling 30 miles a day, not knowing that you're sick was a very dangerous thing. I could have lost my life. When I have an episode, I don't eat, I don't sleep. It's like my mind is racing. I have no control. I'm not able to do things for myself every day as far as cooking, bathing, or just everyday things that people would do only on a normal basis. My life was just totally in a wreck, in shambles. Things were more vivid, like like people cooking, and you'll see water, people cooking, and then the smoke comes up, and the smoke is 10 times bigger than what it's normally supposed to be. The grass is greener than it's supposed to be. When I look at a person's face, their eyes, their eyelashes are longer than what they appear to be. I have a lot of pressure in my head. Sometimes I feel like my brain is like out. It's a lot of pain. It's like my brain is, it's like something just busts my brain open, and it takes it a while to come back together, to heal. This problem shut me down totally. This is something that I have to live with, and I have to learn how to live with it each and every day, because each and every day is a challenge for me. I got better every day. I feel like talking. I feel like paint my nails, or I could go and bathe myself, take a bath, and try to. It's just one day at a time. As far as me helping others, it has helped me to give back from what I've learned, for what I've went through in my life. Just having a connection with someone that maybe have the same problem that you have, or either similar problem, it has helped me to help another person where it will send comfort to them and let them know that someone does care for them. By them seeing me and knowing that where I experienced in my life, They're seeing me and saying that there is hope. There is hope, and that I can get better, and I will get better. And just knowing that you have someone that you can reach out, because somebody reached out to me and they helped me. And I just thank God that someone did. And I thank God for the counselors and all the people that have played a big part in my life to get me to where I'm at now, because this road has not been easy. It's been very hard. This was my life, and now this is what I feel that my life is. Now, it's not as perfect as this hanger, but I'm on my way, and I can be glad about it and thankful. Thank the Lord above.
As they cut our funds, mental health peers are much more attractive than those of us who are academically trained, because an academician wants a certain salary, they want fringe benefits, they want lots of stuff. A mental health peer is grateful for employment, grateful for an opportunity to be of service, grateful for a sense of purpose. It's kind of the difference between a volunteer and a paid worker. They're a gold mine that we are tapping.
I grew up in a normal family with a normal alcoholic father. When I was 7, they were divorced. When I was 8, I was sexually abused. At 9, I was hit by a car, broke my leg. Junior high, I started hearing voices, having suicidal ideations, drinking at school. I barely graduated junior high and I moved to a new town. I was hearing voices, but I was doing drugs. I got arrested a few times. After that point, every time I got arrested, I stayed calm. I didn't want to go back there. I would just do drugs and get back out on the street. After a while, the voices just got so relentless, and one morning I tried to take my life. They took me to the hospital, patched me up, took me to the psych ward. I stayed 14 days. This time it was kind of like a little vacation. When I got out, I went to adult mental health outpatient, and did dual diagnosis programs. Saw a therapist and was medicated, diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder. I bounced back and forth between houses, and I went from California to Texas to Kansas, back to Texas. When I moved to Texas, I started at the Burke Center, and they had a holistic program where they helped me improve my skills to survive in recovery. They worked with me step by step. They believed in me. I went back, got my GED, got my dentures, bariatric surgery. I live in my own apartment, have my own cat, take care of all my bills.
The AA system primarily discovered the value of sponsors, of people with drug and alcohol conditions who are in recovery, helping others who aren't as far along in the path. And what we've done is we've taken people that were consumers and said, you know, you got something to offer, we would like you to be helpful to others. And as they are helpful to others, they further their own recovery.
The mental health system was all about medication, and if you wasn't doing well, they would give you more medication. Well, we call it treatment-based. Well, now we're trying to swing it to the point to where it's recovery-based. We are the evidence that with the proper medication and the proper encouragement, that we can have our consumers feel that they can do stuff on their own. The Coalition is all about mental health recovery and what a person needs to do to stay well and to be focused in their recovery. It unites people through empowerment. It gives people the opportunity to see other people that had mental health issues that's in recovery. We have what you call a wellness toolbox. It gives me the initiative to stay well, and it provided me tools in order to stay well. It equips you with the ability to make decisions for yourself before you get to the point where you can't. The tools would be a daily maintenance plan, to where as a person would be able to do something for themselves every day on a daily basis, like knowing your triggers, being aware when you're about to have a crisis, what to do in a crisis, and what to do after you have a crisis. We can discuss different things and different methods that keep us well. We exchange ideas, and especially when we're working with other consumers, we have a tendency to trade ideas on if they're in a situation that they're not familiar with, that I might have ran across that situation. I could tell what I did to help that person, and then they could tell me some things that I might need to know to help someone else if I'm in an adverse situation with a person. In their recovery, they are stable, they're independent, and they are focused on being positive and productive and living life on life terms. Standing amongst one another, that if we can do it, then the recovery model can be spread into the system to whereas we can enable other people to do it, to whereas I can help someone else in their recovery. Recovery-focused learning means to know and educate yourself about your illness. Know what your illness consists of and the things that you need to do to counteract it to stay well. If you are educated about your illness and understand your illness, then you have a better way of coping with the things that your illness can bring, the issues that it can bring in your life. You can understand and be better equipped to deal with it.
Those people that when they walk out of your room, you feel like you ought to pay them instead of them paying you. That's the person you want to approach with, hey, would you like to be a peer provider? Would you like to take some of those life experiences that you're carrying around and help others? Every professional has got a caseload of people that when they go home at night, they think about. They've got ones that they mull over and go, oh, I wish I'd have done better. And then they've got a few that go, man, that person has lived so much more of a life than I have. You know, how can I help them? You know, who am I to be helping them? And the answer to that is you can be their roadway into service.
I had a horrific childhood. My mother went into labor and went to the hospital to have me delivered. And when the nurse left the room, she tried to go to the bathroom and have me in the toilet to get rid of me. I began to fear when I was 4 or 5 that my parents were trying to kill me, and I think that was the beginning of my mental illness. I became very frightened of my parents. There was a great deal of abuse. By the time I graduated high school, I was an addict. I married when I was 20. I had a child when I was 21, which was the best thing I ever did. I divorced my husband. I married again. I married a total of 3 times, have 3 divorces. I decided when I was 27 and still an addict that I was college material. So I decided to go to college. My son started 1st grade the year that I entered college, so we went to school together. We studied together, and kind of grew up together. I finished school with 2 degrees. It took 10 years because I was working at the same time and raising my son alone, but I did it. I became a school teacher. At that point, I was an alcoholic also. I don't recommend working, raising a child, and being an addict and going to college to anybody. It's kind of difficult. In 1991, I was able to get clean and sober through AA, God bless them. I was still having problems with personality, with mood swings and the like. In 2007, I came to this area and found the Burke Center. The medication they put me on helped me find what I needed. The peer specialist was a new position, a new concept. The idea that people could recover from mental illness is a new phenomenon. They were convinced that people who had suffered from mental illness and had an upswing could provide services to those who were still suffering. And they offered me a position as a peer specialist. I've been there 2 years and I love my job. The client knows we've walked the same walk that they have stumbled through, and they trust us more because they understand that we understand. When I counsel clients, they trust me because they know I've been where they were. One of the most pronounced barriers to recovery is the stigma of mental illness. They know they will not have to deal with that with me.
When somebody comes in and they're singing the blues about how lousy their life is, most of my peers can come up with something that's even worse. And sometimes they get into kind of a competition, but frequently it's, well, how's that working for you? You know, feeling ripped off, feeling angry, how's that working for you? And because the peer is identified as somebody who's lived challenges themselves, it's not really taken as an insult. It's taken as kind of a, well, now that you mention it, it's not working too good. And I said, well, you know, come try my thing for a while.
I'm from the Appalachian Mountains, eastern Kentucky. I spent 3 different times over in Vietnam, was wounded twice over there. I really had trouble fitting in when I came back here because it was like, I don't belong in this world anymore. I went over at one person and came back another one. It's life-changing. Combat's life-changing. First year I was out, I went through like 15 jobs. I couldn't find anything I could actually do. I couldn't be cooped up, couldn't be inside, couldn't do the same thing over and over and over. So I actually landed up working my way through college at the University of Louisville, got a degree in criminal administration, and started a career in law enforcement. I did undercover work all over the country, and I could actually, when I needed to just drop out of sight, they would allow me that luxury. And then I would land up in some city in depression for 3 or 4 weeks and get back and, you know, go back on the clock. I never was there for them. I made them a good living, but I could not get close to anybody. With all the depression, anxiety, and I turned to alcohol to try to help that because I couldn't sleep. And basically, I would come back through every once in a while, and it was like looking at my family from the outside. You know, they were doing good. They really didn't need me in their life. So basically, I was doing the American dream. You know, the wife, 2 kids, and the nice house in the country. But I just couldn't be part of it. The chaos continued. I just had more time in my chaotic world and still couldn't get close to my family. I could see them there in the nice house and new vehicles, whatever they wanted, but that's as close as I could get. On April Fool's Day in 1997, that all came home to me. My son, who was at the University of Texas, April Fool's Day ended up killing himself, taking his own life. And that was when it came to realization that, you know, they didn't need all the stuff. What they really needed was a husband and a father. And because of my illness, I couldn't do that, even though I did love them. I would lay around, it was 5 or 6 weeks, and say, well, JD, you got to get up. Well, I'd get up and take a shower, get to the door, and say, what's the use? And I would go back. I'd pretty well exhausted my life. Pretty well lost everything but anything to me. Lost my son. So I decided I didn't want to be here anymore. And I landed up in the VA psych ward in Dallas. Landed up going to the PTSD program, which is an 8-week program, in-house program in Waco. And by then, I'd got to the point where, you know, I've undone all this chaos. I need to help others stay out of this. I can make a difference in these veterans' lives. So I decided that's all I was going to do the rest of my life. I was trained as a facilitator to do groups for veterans. So I went out in these small towns and had groups for PTSD veterans, met a lot of veterans, and seen the problems that everything that they was telling me I'd already been through for many, many years. All the aftermath of war is the same. And that's one good thing about the PTSD groups, is you have Iraqi vets and Afghanistan vets mixing with Vietnam vets. And then they find out that, wow, you know, we're a new generation, but we went through the same thing that they're going through. The way it's going now, I mean, we're growing as far as getting the homeless veterans off the street. We put them in groups, and the groups are growing, growing, growing. We've opened up a drop-in center for vets. We've opened up 2 residents, most beautiful residents you've ever seen for homeless vets, where it's not a shelter, it's just like a family unit, but we're all brothers, and we live as a family. I mean, the last 18 months, it's just been amazing, the inroad that Andrews Center has actually made. And it takes a whole lot of hard work. It's not an 8-to-5 job, you know. It's there's no There's no glory in this job. You do it for one reason. You do it because it's the right thing.